Hey everyone, I'm Steve. I'm here in the shop in the Woodturning Store. And in this video, this will be a follow-up to the last video that we did, where we turned the outside of a bowl on a faceplate using Hurricane Carbide tools. In this video, which we'll keep short, I'm just going to show you how to use those same Carbide tools to cut a tenon on the foot of the bowl to grab with dovetail chuck jaws. So let's go over the tools that we're going to use to turn the tenon on this bowl. So first, as I look down here, I have our set of Hurricane full-size Carbide tools. We have the rougher, which gives you a square edge over here. We have the detailer, which we'll be using today, and the finisher, which we may not use today. Next thing we'll do is we'll take a look at the foot that we've created so far, or I should say the bottom of the bowl that we've created so far. We've created a pretty pleasant shape here. This foot turns out to be about 2.5 inches. So we're going to look at our array of chuck jaws and decide which dovetail jaws we're going to use. We'll be using the Axminster Evolution SK100 chuck, and in this case, we're going to be using the A+ jaws. The A+ jaws are among my favorite jaws, also called 100mm dovetail jaws. It's a 4-inch chuck, 100 millimeters, I believe, on the outside, a little less on the inside. So you have a dovetail on the inside and a dovetail on the outside. Now, we're going to compare the size of the dovetail that we need here to our foot. So what I've done is I've opened the chuck jaws so they're a complete circle, which looks like that. And if you don't know, a complete circle on dovetail jaws is usually with a little bit of a space here, not with the jaws closed all the way down. In the old days, and I still do, I use calipers, pair of dividers, I should say, to measure the dovetail width, and then I'd use that to transfer that over to our bowl. What I've come up with, and we're not making this available yet, or I should say we haven't made it available yet. This is the first time I'm showing it. This is a template, and the inside piece is used in my cabinet drawer, down like this, and when I put my chuck jaws right in there. And then I've created a recess here and a tenon here, so I can use the template here. On the tenon side, it says tenon 3 3/16, so I can use that as a gauge when I am forming the tenon on the bottom of the bowl. This is the first time I'm showing it. Let me know what you think. Put some feedback in the comments. Let me know if you think it's something that you'd like to see available on our website. Let's take a look at our bowl. It's been about a week, maybe 10 days since we did that last video, and this piece was green. Unfortunately, we developed a crack in the piece. I filled it with some CA glue. I didn't bother to spray it beforehand because this may not be a finished piece. I'm really not happy with the depth of this, because if this is a thin wall bowl, this crack might go right through. So we may end up scrapping this piece when we do the final section of the video, which is turning the inside. I may start with a new piece, but we'll be able to get through the video here and create the tenon. I'll adjust my Hurricane tool rest. Once again, I want to be cutting at about center height. So you can see that I've adjusted my tool rest, and I'll be cutting right at center height. I'll look at my template. If I look at my template, you could see that my base at this point is pretty narrow compared to where I need to be. So I'm going to have to take off maybe about 1/4 inch from the bottom of the bowl. So let's do that now. As I explained in the last video, we're going to come in from this side here, from side grain, and we're going to use about half of the cutting tip at any time. Doesn't need to be perfect. Carbide tools do a great job coming into side grain and taking those roughing cuts like that. Using my gauge, I'm right about where I need to be, maybe just a little bit more. Here's another view of it. Maybe just a little bit more. So what I'll do is I'll take about another 1/8 of an inch off the bottom of the bowl. Using the gauge once again, that's just about right. Okay, now we'll switch over to the Carbide detailer tool, which is going to allow us to come in here and make this cut right in here to give us our tenon. The most important thing when you're making a dovetail tenon on the bottom of the bowl, sometimes people think that you get your strength from the side wall of the dovetail. And that's true to a certain degree, but you really get your strength by having good flat contact with the face of the jaws. And that's why I like these A+ jaws, because you have a really wide face here. I wouldn't say it's 1/2 inch, but it's at least 3/8, getting close to 1/2 inch. So when I cut my tenon, I want to make sure that I have a flat surface right in here that is going to mate up with the face of the dovetail very well. I'm going to try my best to have the proper shape of the dovetail match the shape of the jaws. Doesn't need to be perfect, but we'll try and get it as close as possible. Now I'll use this detailer tool, and I will come in this way, and then I'll come in from here, and I'm going to give it a little extra push, and I'll tell you why in a second. I'll use the profile of this to show you what's important. Now, a few things are important here. Here's what's important. What's important is that the bottom of the bowl here does not bottom out in the bottom surface of the chuck jaw. If that were the case, it would be impossible, of course, to have good contact between the face right here and the face of the jaw. The next thing is we want this surface here to make excellent contact with this face right here. That means that this has to either be perfectly perpendicular to the axis of the lathe, so you have maximum contact. That would be ideal. If you can't make it perfectly perpendicular, it needs to be concave so that you're touching on the outside of the jaw rather than the inside. If you make this surface convex, which would be this way, you would only be touching the jaw way down in here. The other thing I mentioned before is I took an extra deep cut with this. This particular tool, this detailer has a radius here. It doesn't have a sharp point. If I went in just enough, I wouldn't be able to get the point of this jaw all the way in. So I took an extra little plunge, and I hope you can see it. So I have good contact here on the face. I have good contact here on the dovetail, and my point is not trapped. It's able to fully extend into that corner. That's going to give us a great surface. So I put the number 4 jaw back on the chuck. I've opened it just a little bit so my chuck jaws can get over this tenon. Of course, we wouldn't do it this way. I'm just showing it for the video. We're going to do it properly and take the chuck off the faceplate. But just to show you, you can do this as a test. You can see I have really good contact. My jaw bottom is not touching the bottom of the tenon. You can see I have clearance in there. And I'll tighten it up. You want to push on it, tighten it, and take a look, and you could see I have good contact and no surface exposed, no gap I should say, all the way around. That will give you the maximum bearing surface between the bottom of your bowl and the face of your chuck jaws, which give you the best support. That's it. That's how you turn a tenon on the bottom of a bowl to set into dovetail jaws. I hope that was helpful. Please give me some comments on what you think about the tenon and the recessed jig. Let me know if you'd like to see that on our website. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.